Church staffing changes can be difficult depending on your relational connection. There are 3 C's that make up a church. Those 3 things are a cause, a community, and a corporation. All 3 are important and necessary. Firing employees at a church falls under the corporation side of a church, and we follow the same rules and standards that healthy corporations are going to follow with legal compliance. That means we have similar processes in place to manage the staff to what most businesses have. We have things like monthly reports, annual evaluations, and disciplinary policies with long paper trails. We even have an HR attorney on retainer that we consult for various staffing changes. We abide by the same confidentiality standards that any healthy corporation would. And so that means that we can't go into too much detail regarding staffing issues. Those issues are handled by the lead pastor and by the elders. We look at scripture, we spend much time in prayer, and we even consult outside sources to help ensure that we're seeing everything properly and to the best of our ability. The elders and I take considerable time and much prayer, much debate and discussion to discern the best possible outcome for our church anytime we come to that crossroad of staffing changes. Since the congregation votes on the lead pastor position and the elders' roles, the best posture of anyone in a congregation is to pray for those who have been entrusted with the heavy burden of leadership responsibility, because you're probably not going to get the answers that maybe sometimes you want. Transparency and confidentiality are 2 very different concepts. Our church strives to be as transparent as we legally can in our public church-wide communications, but we also ask that you would understand there's confidentiality that's required in order to avoid things like slander and causing public shame to a person by communicating things like personal failure or explaining a behavioral issue of any former employee in a public way. There's 4 primary reasons that would require a staffing change: a sin issue, poor performance, or bad behavior and misalignment, or someone being called away or retiring, or perhaps just an organizational change as necessary. All 4 of these instances are constantly monitored by our lead pastor and elders. In the instance someone truly is called away to a new ministry opportunity, or in the instance where they retire, we can be really transparent in those communications to the congregation because it's a celebration of someone's investment in our church, but yet they're being sent to what God has called them to next. The other instances that would require a change would not be communicated at that same level. But in order to not mislead the congregation, our wording has to be chosen really carefully to maintain transparency and to protect the privacy of an individual. This can be perceived as maybe not being transparent, but in fact, it's simply maintaining professional confidentiality. What these instances require from a disciple of Jesus is patience, humility, understanding, in order so we can all pursue unity together. Changes are hard because various people were really influential in your life in different seasons. Celebrate that, be thankful for that, but also be willing to move forward by not focusing your attention on a person, but rather on Christ and how He used that person in your life for His glory. Every time I've ever experienced change in this way, it's always for the betterment of the local church, and it helps others to grow as well. The best way to navigate these types of changes in your life and in our church is to stay in the scripture, avoid gossip, keep your heart and your eyes fixed on Jesus and what He has called us to do. Ephesians 4 verses 1 through 3 says, "I therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace."